This is the art of selling travel. We're diving in to give you useful and practical tips on how to make more money starting now. We're pulling back the curtains on the best sales strategies to show travel professionals how to close more sales and create raving fans. Helping travel advisors master the art of selling travel. You can't market your way out of a selling problem. This is the art of selling travel. And here to guide you through it all, Glenda Beagle.
Hey there and welcome. My name is Glenda and I am the host of the Art of Selling Travel podcast. This is a podcast that is designed specifically for the travel industry, but in particular to help you learn how to sell travel. Don't worry, we're still going to have some experts on here that are going to help you out with all of the other segments in terms of processes, in terms of marketing and everything else, so that you're going to get tips and tricks of all the different aspects of selling travel or running a travel business, I should say. But our primary focus is always going to be on that end result. And that is actually selling travel. Why? Because without sales, you don't actually have a business. I've heard it many times, without customers, you don't have a business. But a lot of times we forget a customer is not a lead. And I hear a lot of marketers that talk about customers as leads, not as actually money spending clients that are going to put money into your bank. So that is where our focus is going to be on in this podcast, is all about getting you closing sales and growing your business with actual money in the bank rather than the number of followers and leads and things like that. 100% you're going to need all those things, but it's all about how do you convert them into actual sales. So, am I going to do it all perfectly? Oh, hell no. I think this is like the 38th intro that I've recorded for this podcast. And I call it an intro because I think the farthest I've gotten in is like 3-4 minutes without going, I don't like how that sounds. Which partly is why I love things that are live, because you just got to go for it. You can't take it back. But my question is, are you willing to listen to the things that get screwed up? Because I'm human and I am going to screw things up. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. But in fact, the best thing I can share with you is what I've screwed up. Those that won't show you what they've screwed up actually scare me. Because if you don't see what somebody else's failures are, all you see is that glossy, totally curated social feed that's going to show you all of their successes. My question becomes, one, are you actually going to be able to replicate their success if you don't understand their failures, to know what it is that was their stumbling blocks? Or are you going to hit those stumbling blocks and only judge yourself based on what their successes are? Or are their successes actually real? You know, there's a lot of people out there that have absolute glittery, absolute stunning resumes of success. But you know, if you watch them for a while, those resumes change. Their experience changes. So it makes me start to wonder, if you've never had a failure and your resume keeps changing, are you for real? Maybe I'm a skeptic. What can I say? But I'm going to take you through how I have spent thousands, yes, thousands of dollars and wasted them. I am literally going to pull back the covers of the wasted efforts I've done over the years of things that did not work. Why did they not work? Because while they definitely got me lots of recognition and it got my name out there, they did not translate to sales. Everything you do in your business has to translate to sales. And I want to share with you the lessons that I learned along the way. So why this podcast? Well, there is no magic pills. You are not going to be able to dance your way through an Instagram reel into millions and millions of dollars. That's not going to happen. You absolutely need to market your business. And actually, you know what? I'm just going to take a pause here. This is something you might learn about me as we go on. I like to chase squirrels. When a new idea pops in my head, I sometimes start chasing it in a different direction. I do like to do outlines, but again, this is why it took 38 or 39 starts to get this far. Because I don't want to read a script when I'm doing my podcast, because I want it to be natural and I want it to flow just like we're having a conversation. If I scripted it, I'd be really boring. I might only be mildly boring now. I'm hoping not too, but I would be really boring if I was just reading a script. And we all can tell when somebody is just reading a script. But no, there's so many that want to offer a magic pill. They want to show you that if you dance to this TikTok song on Instagram Reels, you're going to make millions of dollars. If you do this, you're going to do that. If you have the perfect email sequence, it will do this, it will do that. Here's the deal. You cannot market your way past a selling problem. Sales and marketing are like peanut butter and jelly. They are good on their own, but they are fantastic when you put them together. And while I definitely have a good understanding of marketing, there are experts that know so much more than I ever will. And I am so excited to be able to bring some of those experts on to share with you. But where my zone of genius lies is in selling. I love to sell. And to me, selling isn't about making somebody do something that they don't want to. It's about serving somebody. When I help somebody to purchase something, when I help sell somebody on a trip, or I help sell somebody, when I help sell somebody on one of my courses, it is about how can we make their life better. But here's the deal. If you aren't serving your clients by selling them something, it doesn't matter how amazing their vacation could be if they never actually put down the money to go on the vacation. And after all, somebody is going to sell them that trip. If it's not you, odds are good it will be somebody who cares less about them than you do. So when you sell to your clients, you are serving your clients in the best way that you know possible. So you probably want to know a little bit about me, right? Perhaps I may have even said it a little bit earlier, but I am from Canada. I live out in the middle of nowhere in Alberta, central Alberta, and I love it. I absolutely love living out in the middle of nowhere in the country. And I have been in the industry for more than 15 years. I actually started out by answering a blind ad in a newspaper, of all things, for a receptionist for a busy downtown office. And it turned out it was for a travel agency. I spent less than a year as the receptionist before moving my way up into becoming a travel advisor. And at the end of 5 years, I actually quit my job there and went over and opened my own brick and mortar agency in another small town. And by small town, I want to say, 15, 16, 17,000 people. So for a lot of people, that's small town. For myself, that is known as a city. But, and I'm going to chase one of those squirrels. We're going to have a conversation later on about small town versus big city and the opportunities for each. So make sure you check out that one. But that's how I got my start, is that it was almost by coincidence. Now, the interesting thing, back when I was in high school, I was actually signed up to go to college to become a travel advisor. And I bailed out at the last minute. So it was really kind of a full circle thing for it to come through. Now, how did I move over to this side of the table into the coaching side? Well, I remember being a part of a franchise advisory council on a national level for the company that my franchise was with. And I remember sitting around the table with other business owners, and some of the questions that they asked absolutely baffled me, because here we were all business owners. And the questions they asked, the things they wanted, it was as if they were letting their businesses happen to them. They were not advocating for their own businesses. And yet they were supposed to be the representative of other people's businesses. And that bothered me, because it was in that moment that I realized a lot of business owners don't know how to advocate for their own business. They don't know the steps they need to take. They are in this box of of accepting what the industry gives back to them. Now, the irony, this was all very pre-2020. So you can imagine that a number of those businesses did not come out the other side. And so when the pandemic hit, when 2020 hit, I had left my job to do business coaching for mom and pop shops on Main Street, if you will, small business owners. And when the pandemic hit and I started to see all these different coaches popping up, that their resumes seemed to change by the week or at least by the month as to supposedly what their background was. And it was really bothering me. So I just decided I needed to come back to the industry. Now, as all will know and that sort of thing, if you spent any time around quality marketers, they're going to tell you, you have to find your niche. You have to find your blue ocean, if you will, within your industry. And there were so many people teaching marketing, but there was almost nobody teaching sales. And yet sales is every bit as important as marketing. That's why it's called sales and marketing. But yet we had nobody really showing travel advisors what it took to actually sell. When I did my research, it was because so many believed, well, our tour operators are going to teach us, our suppliers are going to teach us. As we get going, and as you're going to see, and especially if you start taking any of my courses and other such, you are going to see that tour operators will teach you the features and benefits and how to sell their product. They are not going to teach you how to sell a client, and they're not going to teach you how to sell product that does not belong to them. They're going to teach you how to switch sell and things like that, but they're not actually going to teach you how to close the deal. And that is a very important thing that we need to know. So what can you expect as you go on? Well, one, I'm always going to try and keep them as short and sweet as I possibly can. But the reality is I can get a little long-winded at times. I'm always going to promise to try and do my best. I can't ever make that promise fully. But the other thing is too, I don't know about you, I've listened to some podcasts and they're right in the middle of a great flow. And then they're like, oh, and that's our time. We're going to have to wrap. And I'm like, but we were just headed somewhere is amazing. So I do promise that if it is going to be an extremely long podcast, when it goes to editing, I will split it in half and do it that way. But otherwise, I do want, especially when we have a guest speaker on, for the podcast just to flow. When we are in the midst of an amazing conversation, I want to make sure that you get the benefit of all that genius that is there. That's part of why we're going to be bringing other speakers in and listening to other experts and getting other points of view. So we want to make sure that we are not necessarily capturing and pinpointing our exact amount of time, because I want to make sure it's the right amount for you. I guess the one thing I really need to say is I'm pretty blunt. I am an Alberta country girl. There's no sense beating around the bush. There's no sense trying to tell you something just to make you feel better when it's not actually going to help you. So the reality is sometimes it is going to be pretty blunt. It's going to be honest, and it's going to be straight up, because it's going to be what it takes to help you. I can try and make you feel better by telling you it's not your fault, or I can point out or ask you the questions as to what it is that might make a difference in your business. It's really, really important that we do that. We're going to have some opportunities to have on-air coaching. So if that's something that's of interest to you, make sure that you connect with me on Instagram at Art of Selling Travel and send me a request and say, hey, I want to be a part of this. As time goes on, we're going to have an actual form that you can fill out and that sort of thing. We're going to be doing interviews with experts. We already have some amazing ones already recorded and set to go. So I can't wait for you to hear those. Some of them most of them will be in the industry, but I'm also going to be bringing in some that are outside of the industry, because I think there is so much amazing gold from people that have different perspectives. And when we only live within inside of our own box, sometimes we forget about being able to see it from a higher level, from being able to see it elsewhere. And I'm also going to be bringing on some amazing travel advisors, travel professionals that have really unique experiences or perspectives. Now, I'm probably also going to bring on a handful of suppliers from time to time. Here's the key. We're not going to be talking with the suppliers with the intention of talking about the supplier. We're going to be bringing them on because with all the years in the industry that I've built some beautiful relationships and friendships with these people over the years that I think is really important that we have conversations with them so that we can learn some of the things that they've learned along the way, and just the conversations they can have. Are they going to talk about their product? Perhaps, but that is not going to be the focus of what it is that they're going to be on there. But our topics that we're going to be covering are going to include everything from ranging from building your business, whether or not you should charge fees. I don't believe every travel agent advisor out there should be charging fees. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot, and I do mean a lot of you should. But the lessons that I've learned the hard way, I've already said I have spent thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars of wasted money because I didn't know how to spend it the right way. I didn't know what to measure. I didn't know what to look for. And I was sometimes too quick to say yes. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to have some great encouragement. Like I said, I might be blunt and straight up, but don't get me wrong. I have sat curled up in a ball crying from the lessons that I've learned along the way. And I want to make sure that you get some of the amazing encouragement that I've gotten over the years. And you know what? I'm even going to be bringing some of those people who really were my rock over the years, going to be bringing them on air so that you can hear from them as well. And then, of course, basic growth strategies, because who doesn't want to grow their business, especially as we start looking towards 2022. Travel is back. I can't wait. I have been so long since I've been on an airplane, and I am genuinely looking forward to my next opportunity to be able to get on that airplane. But that's what I just wanted you to know a little bit about what you can expect over the next little bit. Our next one is going to be a really good way of kicking things off. It's all going to be about keeping it simple. Oh my goodness, I am an overthinker. I feel like I should get like an Overthinkers Anonymous club going. I don't know about you, but that's how I operate. But anyways, until next time, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to listen. And I really hope that you get a lot out of these episodes. I am always looking for new guest opportunities and new topic ideas that you want to hear about. After all, as much fun as it is for me to make this podcast, the reality is the podcast is all about you. So if you have a topic you want to see covered, please reach out to me on Instagram, Art of Selling Travel, and make sure that you include it, rate, or send me a message and let me know what you want to hear about. If you know of an amazing speaker, make sure you include them as well. If you want to be considered either for one of the coaching or as possibly an expert, please just let me know. Until next week, I will see you later. Bye-bye.